One of my favorite things about Austin is how accessible it is to bedroom communities that are drivable to downtown. I'm right over here at Bee Cave City Hall in Bee Cave, Texas, just on the west side over by Lake Travis. And this is a great spot to kick off this video, my favorite things about Austin. Now, I've been here since '99. I've been a realtor here since '11. There's not a lot of agents in this area that know Austin better than I do. So as I take you through this, realize that these are things that I've gathered over the last 24 years or so. And also, I used my wife on this. My wife is a native Austinite, so there's definitely some strong opinions on things that she loves about Austin. So we're going to take a look at those too. All right, let's take a look at my favorite things about Austin, Texas. Now I'm going to start these 1 through 5, and at the end I've got a bonus one, and this is for the old Austin people, so make sure you stay around to the last one. But I'm just going to start in no particular order. If you know me, you know it. I love it. The brewery scene. There's over 30 breweries in the Austin area now. I used to travel to Colorado in the early 2000s, and I was just in awe of how many breweries and how amazing the beer was in Colorado, and I always wondered why Austin couldn't do that. Lo and behold, starting about 2010, Austin took off, and the beer scene is absolutely phenomenal now. I'm going to give you a few of my favorite breweries in Austin, ones that you may want to visit, and I'm going to start with the area where I live, which is Dripping Springs. I absolutely love the breweries 12 Fox, Suds Monkey, and Acapon. They've all got different vibes, different locations, and a little bit different type of beer, but I'm positive that you're going to love absolutely every last one of them. In Austin proper, my 3 favorites. First one is Last Stand. I've been following Last Stand for a long time now. They've got a great spot over on South Congress. Another one that's fairly new that I absolutely love, opened up just about a year ago, is Meanwhile Brewing. They're right about where 290 and 35 cross on the south side of town in a warehouse, but it's absolutely beautiful. There's something for the entire family. The food is great. They've got 3 food trucks out there, including one of the ones that I'm going to talk about later, but Meanwhile Brewing is absolutely great. The third one I absolutely love, and this is mostly because of the beers that they brew, not necessarily the location, even though it's great as well, but 512 Brewing. My absolute favorite beer in Austin right now is coming from 512, and it's their Black IPA. I'm a huge fan of Black IPAs. Can't find them very much anymore, but 512 makes a great one. Some of the other notable breweries around the Austin area that I absolutely love, there's a couple of locations of Red Horn Brewing up north. One of the things that they do cool is they bring in a lot of guest taps, and it's not normal stuff that's guest taps. It's one-offs and collaborations they do, and Red Horn does an absolutely amazing job of it. Another one of the ones that I really enjoy in the area, and it's fairly new also, is Bear King Brewing out in Marble Falls. They have a great ESB I found out this weekend. Got to check that one out. And then another one east of Austin over in Bastrop is 602 Brewing. They do a great job as well, and their location's really cool. You've got to visit that tap house. You're going to like it. All right, so the number 2 thing that I absolutely love about Austin, I'm born and raised Texan. I love my barbecue. Austin has a great barbecue scene. Now, you've heard of some of the popular ones. There's 3 in the Texas Monthly Top 50, but I'm going to let you in on a couple of little local secrets, ones that you may not know about that could absolutely blow your mind. So everybody knows the ones in the top 50. You've got Franklin's, you got Interstellar, and you got Leroy and Lewis. They are taking all of the headlines right now. But some of the lesser known ones that are really, really good. I mentioned earlier at Meanwhile Brewing that they've got 3 food trucks. One of the food trucks there is Distant Relatives, and it is a great barbecue food truck. It might be my favorite barbecue in Austin right now. The other one that I really like actually popped up on the Texas Monthly Top 20 a couple of years ago, and that's Valentina's. Valentina's is still just a trailer down in South Austin, but man, they make great barbecue, and their barbecue tacos are to die for. And it's not just Austin that's got great barbecue. It's all around the area. Well, it's all around Texas, let's be honest. But in Central Texas, here's a couple of my other favorite ones. In Luling, the Luling Meat Market is absolutely amazing, and their ribs are probably the best I've had in this area. And then also the Black Name is a very famous family barbecue name here in Central Texas, but the one that I go to every time because to me, it's just better than the other ones is Kent Black's down in San Marcos. You have got to try their barbecue pork belly. Ugh, so good. Now, even though Aaron Franklin kind of took barbecue in this area up to a notch and brought a lot of notoriety, there were a lot of old families making great barbecue in this area way before Aaron Franklin came to town. You got Kreitz Barbecue down in Lockhart, which is a huge name down there, along with Smitty's and also Chisholm Trail. You got Louis Miller's up in Taylor. Louis Miller's has been around forever and makes awesome barbecue. And then you've got the old reliable Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue. You got to try them out if you're a barbecue fan, guys. Barbecue in Texas is like nothing else in the country. Look, I love St. Louis style and Memphis style and all the stuff you're going to get over on the East Coast and stuff, but Texas barbecue is different and it's special. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. Here's a little local secret for you. If you're in a rush for barbecue, you don't want to stand in a long line, find one of the H-E-Bs that has barbecue, like the Miller H-E-B, because for a grocery store, they make great Texas barbecue. Now, before we pop to number 3, I've got to remind you, if you like this video, if this is the kind of content you're looking for, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. I put out content like this at least twice a week. Now, the third thing that I absolutely love about Austin is a shared love between my wife and I. Like I mentioned, she grew up in Austin. She's an Austin original, and this goes all the way back to the time when she was a kid. But at Christmas time, you've got the Zilker tree and the Trail of Lights. Now, granted, it's way more crowded than it used to be, and you've got to kind of pick and choose your times to go down to visit the Trail of Lights during Christmas time, but it's magical. Going under the tree, spinning around, it's kind of a timeless tradition here in Austin. You've got to check it out. But with the Zilker tree and the Trail of Lights in downtown Austin being so crowded, a lot of the neighboring communities have started their own tree lighting traditions and have their own little tree walkthrough exhibitions. A couple of the ones that I love, there's one in Wimberley that's great. On the southwest side of Austin, the Maywald Family Christmas. One of the Maywald's sons was at Bowie High School back in the day and just started doing Christmas lights in the front yard and raising money for local nonprofits. That tradition has continued going, and that light display is absolutely huge, so you've got to check out the Maywald Christmas. And then also in Johnson City, west of Dripping Springs, Pedernales Electric Co-op, which is one of the electric companies out here, has a huge lighting display at their main building, so you've got to go out to Johnson City, and usually during Christmas time, you're going to be able to go visit the town. There's a lot of lights around town, a lot of live music and stuff like that. It's a really, really cool Christmas tradition out there. All right, the fourth thing that I absolutely love about Austin is how easy it is to get outdoors and get active outside. Austin is always one of the top 10 fittest cities in the United States, and one of the reasons behind that is you have access to so many outdoor activities. On any nice weekend, and nice is kind of relative because even when it's raining and cold out, people absolutely flock to the trail around Town Lake, or as it's known now, Lady Bird Lake. But there's a trail that goes all the way around the lake, hike and bike trail. It's incredible. Some of the other stuff in town is the Shoal Creek Park, which is another great hiking trail. And then just getting outdoors is Zilker Park. It's the same park that the Trail of Lights is set up in, but when it's not Christmas time, it's just acres and acres and acres of open space. It includes the botanical gardens, which are beautiful down there, and it's also where Barton Springs is located. So Zilker Park is another thing in town, just a great opportunity to get outside. Now, when you're talking about Town Lake and any of the other lakes, even up the Highland Lake chain with Lake Austin, Lake Travis, Inks Lake, LBJ, and Buchanan, it's all about getting on the lake, getting on the water. You can do stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, canoeing. All of those are open to motorboat traffic except for Town Lake. That's the only one that's not open to motorboat for most people. But getting outside on the lake, this is a water town and people love to get outside on the water. And speaking of water in the area, if you've never heard of tubing in Texas in the summer, it's absolutely incredible. And Texas kind of started a nationwide thing at this point. But some of the rivers that people tube on around here are the San Marcos River, right downtown San Marcos. It's a really cool little float. And then also the Guadalupe and the Comal down in New Braunfels is another place where people get on the river. Now, if you like to fish the way I do, there's also great fishing in the Guadalupe and the Comal, not to mention all the lakes around, including Canyon Lake, which is where the Guadalupe comes from. Now, one of the cool things a lot of people don't know is Texas Parks and Wildlife has started stocking rainbow trout into a lot of waters around the state. Normally, the rainbow trout die off in the summer, or at least they don't reproduce because the water gets too warm. But because Canyon Lake is so deep, we have a breeding population of rainbow trout now at the base of the dam. The water stays cold enough year-round and they can reproduce in there. And you talk about a great trout fishing hatchery. It's incredible down there. Now, if hiking's more your style, we've got hiking all around the area. Like I mentioned, it starts in town with some of those hiking trails there. Bull Creek is another one that's a great one to hike. And then you get outside of town, especially on the west side. You got the 360 Bridge hiking trail where you're going to see amazing sunsets. You've got things like Hamilton Pool and Reimers Ranch a little further west. Down south a little bit more, closer to Wimberley, you've got Jacobs Well and Blue Hole, which has a little bit of hiking, but also some swimming in the summer. Then to the east side of town, you've got McKinney Ruffs and McKinney Falls Parks. Those are great places to get out and do hiking. And not to mention, Just about every subdivision that's gone in Central Texas in the last 10 years has got hike and bike trails, and they're phenomenal. We ruck them just about every weekend, and there's miles and miles and miles of nature trails in all these little subdivisions that are popping up. Really cool thing about Austin. Okay, now the fifth thing that I absolutely love about Austin is the fact that it's situated right at the beginning of the hill country. If you love rolling hills, huge views, and amazing sunsets, you're gonna love the hill country. And one of the great things about where Austin is situated is it's so easy to get out and take a ride on a weekend or even a weekday out through the hill country, whether it's on a motorcycle, whether you're just on a bicycle, or if you're like my wife and I, you just take the tops off the Jeep and hit the road. There are some absolutely amazing day trips around every part of Austin, north, south, east, or west, it doesn't matter. But my personal favorite ones are out into the hill country to the west and to the southwest. And as a part of the hill country and these great little drives are the day trips that you're going to take to little bitty towns that you may have never heard of. Wimberley, Johnson City, Albert, High, Round Mountain, things like that. Guys, the drives out there are incredible. One of my favorite trips in the world is driving down 165 between Henley, Texas, which is just on the west side of Dripping Springs, and Blanco. There's this hill that you come over, and on a clear day, I swear you can see Mexico. It's insane how great the view is on 165. It's a must-do day trip. Some of the other great little day trips that you've got to take, you have to go see Salado. Bastrop is a cool place with all the little things down around the river. And I've already mentioned Lockhart and Luling, which are cool little towns in their own right. But when you throw in the barbecue aspect, you've got to hit those on day trips. And then if you want a little bit longer trip, take a 2-hour drive down to my hometown, Shiner, Texas. You've heard of Shiner beer. That's where the brewery is. It's also known as the cleanest little city in Texas. And even though I might be sounding a little bit proud, guys, it's probably one of the friendliest cities in Texas. I love my hometown. It's incredible. You got to check it out. All right, now I've given you 5 things that I love, but here's the bonus piece that I was mentioning earlier. These are the ones that are just going to set Austin over the top from everywhere else that you might want to move. And it's the old school things in Austin. Austin's growing fast and there's a lot of new things coming in, but these are the things that a lot of the old timers remember, and it is what keeps Austin, Austin. So the first thing I always have to say is you hear the argument between In-N-Out Burger and Five Guys and Whataburger and all this other stuff. I'm going to tell you what, go to Dan's Hamburger. You're never going to worry about In-N-Out again. Another one of those old school hamburgers is Sandy's. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've had Sandy's hamburgers twice, but what I've had more from Sandy's is their soft serve. They got these cones, they do chocolate dips and all this other stuff. Sandy's is an Austin icon. It is cherished almost right downtown. You have got to go to Sandy's. Just up the road from Sandy's is another Austin original that's been around forever, and it's Peter Pan Mini Golf. They've got 2 courses there, and unfortunately, on one of my wife's and my first date, we went to Peter Pan and she kicked my butt at mini golf, but it's a really cool thing downtown Austin. It's usually packed on weekend nights, but it's worth it. Just go there, hang out, take the whole family. It's a great place to play mini golf. Now, I'm sure you've heard of this next one, but Barton Springs. And again, like a lot of other things in Austin, it's getting crowded. But if you've never been to Barton Springs, you have to go just to experience it. You do have to pay to get into the main springs. It's close to downtown right there in Zilker Park, where I mentioned earlier. But there are very few things that compare to Barton Springs. It's just a really, really cool spot to hang out. Now, one of the other things in Zilker Park is the Zilker Zephyr. Now, if you've never heard of the Zilker Zephyr, it's this little mini train that goes all around the park. It's a great thing to do with the kids. My wife and I have done it. We don't have kids, but we did it anyway because it's a cool way to see the park and just drive around. So if you've got some time, make sure to spend a little bit extra time down in Zilker Park and take in the Zilker Zephyr as well. It's been around for a long time. Who knows how much longer it's going to be here, but again, one of those old Austin things that's just really, really cool. Now, I've mentioned my affinity for Texas barbecue, and one of the originals downtown is Stubbs BBQ. Stubbs still makes great barbecue, but it's also an awesome concert venue and has been for a long time. So it's right downtown. You got to take in Stubbs, another Austin original. Speaking of Austin originals, there's this place really close to the Capitol. It's called the Texas Chili Parlor. And yes, they serve chili. Now, I've got my own thoughts on chili and what it should taste like. And while Texas Chili Parlor is not necessarily my favorite chili, but it's definitely a place that you've got to go and just take in the experience, have some chili down there, and you'll probably end up seeing a few senators and congressmen and things like that during the day, because I've heard that all throughout its history, it's been the place of very, very high priority meetings. If you're looking for a little old school nightlife in Austin, you've got to go to the Broken Spoke. Guys, this is an old school Texas honky tonk. There's another one that you have to go to as well. It's downtown called Don's Depot, but personally the Broken Spoke is my favorite. It's in South Austin. At this point, it is an old building, and it's been surrounded, absolutely surrounded by condos and, you know, the progress in Austin. But the old Broken Spoke is just sitting there still. It's a honky tonk. You can go in for lunch. They've got a greasy chicken fried steak and a pretty good salad, but that's during the day. And then at night it turns into this honky tonk. And if you go, you better be ready to dance, because whether you're a guy or a woman, somebody's going to ask you to dance if you're not already dancing. The Broken Spoke is an absolutely amazing place. And it's one of the things that people used to say about make Austin weird. The Broken Spoke was one of those. And don't worry, I'm almost to the end, but I've got 3 more old school Austin things you've got to know about. The first one is the Paramount Theater. It's right on South Congress, just south of the Capitol. And the Paramount Theater is an old theater. I mean, think back into the 20s, like an old theater, and you see it when you walk in. It's got all the alfrescos and all these things up on the walls. It's beautiful. But you can still go. They still do a summertime music series. My wife and I always go at Christmas. They have the Elf Pub Run where you go down there, you take about a mile jog to a brewery or something else downtown, have a beer, jog back. They play Elf on the big screen, and everybody, it's like a quote along and a sing along. It's an absolute blast. But the Paramount Theater is a can't be missed old school Austin icon. Another one that's an icon, at least to me, and I don't know how long it's been around, but it's been around since I've been here. It's down on Dirty 6th or 6th Street, and it's called Esthers Follies. It is a live comedy show with a cast of characters. And now, if you go very often, some of the skits are the same, but they always update some of the skits as they go as well. And if you're just looking for some great entertainment on a weekend, you're going to have to reserve ahead of time because it's really popular. But Esthers Follies is another old school Austin that's a can't miss. And now, we're going old school Austin, so I've got to go with one of the oldest ones that I know, and that's the Moonlight Towers. If you do a little bit of research on the Moonlight Towers in Austin, you're going to find out that they're the only ones that people think still exist in the world. And what they were essentially was lights back in the day. They put them up almost as street lights around town, and some people say that it was in response to the serial killer that was happening back, I think it was in the 1880s or something in Austin, but these were put up all over, at least all over the country, if not over the world, but over time they've all come down. Well, Austin's kept them up, and some of them are still in their original location, so the Moon Tower lighting is absolutely cool. One of the things that makes Austin weird, and if you remember the movie Dazed and Confused, one of the classic Party at the Moon Tower, that was at one of the locations in Austin. So you got to take in the Moon Tower also. There you go. Things that I absolutely love about Austin, those 6. And again, remember guys, if you like content like this, if this is your kind of video and you want to know this information, make sure you're clicking like and subscribe to this channel. I do this at least twice a week. I bring you all kinds of content, and I'm always here for you if you need anything from me. If you've got questions, thoughts, comments, please put them in the comments below. I'm more than happy to help you out. Until next time.